suppose I should think of some famous last words. How about...
Let battle begin. Oh, mystery, how inelegant.
Remember, tables don't do that.
Instead of an implosion of the Tardis doors, we begin with a horse. Because why not? Doctor Who's always had a way of throwing unexpected visuals at us, and this episode embraces that tradition wholeheartedly. It's an odd but deliberate choice, setting the tone for a world that isn't quite right. And then Archie Panjabi steps into the scene. From the first moment she commands attention, fitting so naturally into the universe that it feels like she's always been part of it. She plays her role effortlessly, making every moment with her feel magnetic. Then comes the twist. She gets herself a baby god. A wish-granting deity capable of reshaping reality on a whim, because clearly time travel wasn't chaotic enough already. Speaking of warped realities, I was told that the book connected to the episode was called Doctor Who and the Reality War, but it turns out it's actually called Doctor Who and the Deadly Wish. Something about it initially reminded me of Harry Potter, but as the episode unfolded, the concept felt far more in line with Once Upon a Time, the TV show that is. This isn't simply a story about wishes, it's about consequences, reality bending under the pressure of desire, shifting into something that appears perfect, but is fundamentally wrong. And that unsettling feeling is reinforced through the family scenes, which are played in such a way that they feel overly polished, obscenely perfect. That's what makes them work. The discomfort creeps into the viewer, making you feel the distortion of the world Conrad has created. Then the episode wastes no time pushing us forward. Ruby Sunday arrives, bringing doubt. She is determined, she remembers another life, and this is where 73 Yards comes into play, again. She knows something is off, even though she can't yet fully explain it. And what about that song in her soul? Still no answers, but it clearly holds weight. I said this would happen, and surprisingly, I got it right. Turns out that all the outcasts, just like I said, everyone Conrad has deemed unworthy, shares this same fractured memory. They know something isn't quite right with the world. That's when my mind latched onto one specific detail I couldn't shake. Why are the cupboards and slip bins full of yellow mugs? The story moves forward, and we finally meet Melanie Bush. Like everyone else inside this reality, she is caught under the spell of Wishworld, moulded into its vision of perfection. She and the Doctor stand with Conrad Earth, gazing up at the sky, and that's when the Doctor utters the words,
I ask you, how can anyone doubt this glorious world that we live in?
And I can't help but ask, Doctor, there are literal fucking skeletal dinosaurs roaming the Earth. Maybe that's why, but this line, this moment, is part of a larger theme the episode builds upon. Wishworld runs on Conrad's definition of perfection, and that definition is disturbingly narrow. Nobody can be disabled, nobody can be anything other than straight. The world is moulded to fit one man's distorted vision of beauty. It is never explicitly stated, but is undeniably shown, through the lives of the outcasts and through Colonel Ibrahim's quiet hesitation when the Doctor calls him beautiful. And I normally don't get involved in the politics of Doctor Who and why it's woke and all that kind of stuff, but I can see this rolling up the woke crowd a little bit. But that's all I'm going to say on that. Then I finally get my answers about the mugs. The fucking mugs. I've been going on about them since that image I was talking about in the last video when I reviewed all the teaser images and I said the mugs would be important. The moment someone questions reality, doubt seeps into the cracks and the mugs shatter. The slip bins measure just how much questioning is happening per household. It's unsettling, but brilliant storytelling. Then comes another revelation. Conrad is actually the prisoner. I said this was possible, but did I actually keep it in my breakdown video of the images? I can't remember. And then there's the question of the baby god. I started wondering, could it be baby Omega? Baby Trickster? And suddenly it giggled, the actual giggle. And with that, the story shifts entirely. We eventually reach the balcony scene with Mrs. Flood and the Rani. Suddenly, my lingering theory about the unholy trinity solidifies. Conrad, the Rani, and Omega. But I'm still questioning everything. I'm not fully convinced yet at this point, because something about the way this world is constructed feels too specific. Like there's a missing piece to the puzzle. And then there's Ruby. Her position in Wish World doesn't fit the pattern. She isn't quite like the other outcasts. She was given a separate existence within this reality. The episode doesn't fully explain it. Maybe if it had been longer, we would have gotten more insight into Ruby's life and what she was like in this world. But due to timing, it was probably cut or never written. But as the Doctor continues to crumble under doubt, watching the television, Susan appears, and then Rogue. And this was the moment where I had to pause. For an hour and a half, right as Rogue appeared, I had to stop and step away. And believe it or not, this whole time that I was away from the screen, the anticipation was too much. But when I finally continued, Rogue's presence felt like something final. Did I expect him to show up again? Not at all. Will he be restored once this world collapses? Something tells me he won't. He tells the Doctor that he misses him and that he loves him, and I don't know if this is closure or heartbreak. Mrs. Flood absolutely dominates this episode. Anita Dobson eats up every single line she's given, and for once, she gets to speak. Well, more than 10 words. Then the final reveal hits. The Rani is back. Omega is the true force returning. I had my suspicions, though I'd honestly hoped it'd be the Trickster instead. The Doctor finally remembers everything, realising just how bad this truly is. But before he can act, the Rani locks him outside in the balcony, only for Belinda to be erased from existence. Then the Doctor fully remembers, and the Rani detaches the balcony, sending him crashing downwards into the breaking world. That's when he screams,
Do you understand? I am a doctor! Poppy is real! Do you know what that means?
and suddenly, a new thought enters my mind. Is Poppy Susan's mother? Or, even bigger twist at the end, is Poppy Susan? Is Susan going to be rewritten as the Doctor's daughter rather than being the Doctor's granddaughter? That would be pretty epic. As the reality collapses, the visuals go wild, and I have to take a second to appreciate the effects team, because while the mugs and the skeletal dinosaurs were a neat touch, those final visuals were something else entirely. And then there's Murray Gold delivering the perfect score as always. And for once, we get no spoilers at the end, no full reveal of Omega, no shocking stinger, just the confirmation that he is coming. And honestly, that's exactly the way it should be. Now for my rating. I rate this episode a 7 out of 10. Not because it was a bad episode, but because it needs the next one to fully land. On its own, it's interesting, weird and unsettling, but nothing truly spectacular happens here. It's all build up. This episode demands to be watched alongside the finale, because this setup needs a proper payoff. And if the finale doesn't deliver, then this tension, this build up, won't have been worth it. But for now, we wait and we hope. And please, I beg, no CGI monstrosities. As always, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel.